The world renamed him. It dismantled him, and he learned the dialect of ruins. He wandered through nights that bit like wolves and taught those wolves to mend. When the devil arrived with velvet chains, he didn't scream. He stood his ground. He laid his grief like molten iron on an anvil and forged a spine that would never sign away his soul. He didn't fear the dark. He put it into formation. And when temptation asked for a whisper, he replied with a silence so heavy the devil had to bow to hear it. I don't speak to rooms anymore. I speak into the quiet behind my ribs, the place where winter lives, where the lamps stay burning long after everyone leaves. That's where I keep the truth. It doesn't shout. It doesn't perform. It breathes. It remembers. I remember the first night the walls learned my name. The stars weren't stars. They were nails holding up a ceiling I couldn't reach. The city slept with its back turned, and the clock chewed through hours like stale bread. I sat on the floor, counting every regret I owned, like coins that couldn't buy a single clean breath. I thought if I held still long enough, the past would miss me. It didn't. It knows my footsteps by heart. I used to be soft. I'm not ashamed of that. I watered dead plants because I believed in resurrection. I held doors that slammed on my fingers and called it grace. I swallowed thunder and apologized for the noise. They smiled with blades under their tongues and called me good. I wore that word like a collar until it burned. Back then, there were long corridors of silence. I was a museum of almosts. My laughter sounded like a borrowed coat. I tucked the night under my pillow, and the night tucked me back with hands that smelled of smoke. I asked the mirror who I was, but it said nothing, only offered a trembling mouth like an unfinished bridge. I kept failing to cross myself. Somewhere between promises and the funerals of those promises, I learned the smallest prayer in the world. Not help, not save me, just stay. I said it to the light when it came. I said it to my bones when they shook. I said it to the part of me that still believed in dawn. Often it didn't. Sometimes it did. The mornings that listened taught me a mercy that excused nothing but kept me alive. Survival isn't noble, it's stubborn. It's rain that refuses to ask the sky for permission. They say, I changed. They say it like a sentence, as if a river betrays the mountain by choosing the sea, as if fire owes the match an apology. I changed because the old house flooded and wouldn't let me breathe. I changed because the wolves found my doorstep and started singing. I changed because the dark made room for me when the light ran out of chairs. All the while, something paced inside my chest, counting my ribs like steps on a staircase. I mistook it for a curse at first, a shadow with good aim. But it wasn't a curse. It was the original animal, patient as winter, ancient as hunger. It had my eyes, only deeper. It had my voice, only lower. like a bell from a drowned cathedral. It didn't speak, it waited. And when I finally asked what it wanted, it said, "Tell the truth." The truth is not gentle. It doesn't hug you. It strips off the costume and walks barefoot across the stage. It says, "This is the wound. This is the weather. And this is how they taught you to call drowning swimming." I held that truth in both hands until my palms bled into a new map. I followed it. I stopped begging ghosts to love me. I stopped arguing with locks that were never mine to open. I gave the dead their names back and stopped wearing them like armor. I untied the shame from my throat, strand by strand, each knot a memory that thought it was a law. I set them down like stones and felt the floor rise to meet me. I stood taller in honesty. I could see over things. They say I grew cold. Fine. Ice still remembers the shape of the water it used to be. I am not unfeeling. I am unfooled. Compassion without boundaries is a thirst trap for devils. I learned to drink from my own hands. I learned that forgiveness without change is just permission. I don't hand out permission anymore. There were nights that nearly ended me. I should honor them by their true names. The night of the last apology. The night of the door that never opened. The night I set a place at the table for someone who only knew how to bite. The night my heartbeat turned into a march that led me out of the ruins. The night I met myself at the edge and did not jump. The night I realized the edge was also a beginning, and the air spoke my language. And yes, the devil was there. I stood alone in a darkness that swallowed sound, smothered air, and clawed my chest with the cold hands of nothingness. Alone. No voice to call, no hand to hold, no whisper to comfort. Just me. Just the silence. Just the weight of every shattered piece inside me. But I didn't die there. I didn't crumble. I didn't dissolve into the void. I became something else, something forged in that abyss. That's what darkness does when you choose to fight. It takes you apart, piece by piece, until only the raw, unfiltered core remains. And that's what I found. Beneath fear, beneath doubt, beneath pain, I found the truth of myself. Darkness thought it could break me, thought it could bury me, but it only taught me how to see without light. My breath became my guide. My heartbeat became my compass. Every ragged inhalation, rebellion. Every pulse, a declaration. I am still here. I clawed my way out of that pit, inch by inch. The screams in my head didn't stop me. The memories didn't stop me. The weight of every failure and betrayal didn't stop me. Pain became my teacher. It honed me, sharpened me, fed the fire in my veins. I don't do this for them. I don't do it to prove anything. I do it because it's who I am. There is no surrender written in my blood. They say people like me are too stubborn, too relentless, too much. I'd rather be too much than not enough. I'd rather be unyielding than hollow. They can't break me anymore. I've already been broken. And from those pieces, I rebuilt myself, stronger, sharper, unyielding. I am not afraid of what comes next. I am not afraid of what I must face, because surrender is not an option. Not now, not ever. Let the storms come. Let the darkness try to devour me. I will not falter. I will not waver. I am a force they cannot contain, a fire they cannot extinguish. My blood sings of victory, not the kind that's given, but the kind that's taken, fought for, earned. There is no surrender in me. There never will be. Let them watch. Let them doubt. Let them wait for my fall. They will wait forever. Because I am still here, and I will always rise, again and again, stronger, sharper, because there is no other way. Yes, I was broken. Yes, I was buried. But I was never destroyed. They laughed. They walked away. They thought I would rot in the dark. They had no idea what they created. Weakness, softness, those were luxuries I could not afford while drowning. No one reached for me then, so I don't reach now. Freedom is heavy, a blade you must wield yourself, and I hold that blade with steady hands. The old version of me is gone, gone and buried. What remains is something truer, something far more dangerous. I stood on the edge once, shattered like glass, scattered and sharp, but I did not fall. I took the pain, I took the fire, and I made them mine. I've felt despair's teeth. I've tasted betrayal's poison. I've walked through storms that stripped me bare and left me bleeding. I've heard the world laugh, waiting for me to break. And yet, I am here.